Hope that you guys are doing okay. So, I guess from the top, I think in order for us to survive in this new economy, I think one of the most common advice is to try to figure out a way to uh, maybe make another source of income, right? And I think right now it's either a side hustle or it's either maybe investing, right? So I think even if we take investing, or even though if we want to move towards making money via investments, we have to be very careful in a sense that we have to make sure that our returns are much higher than the inflation rates, right? So let me give you guys a small little example. In fact, this actually happened to one of my family members. My grandma, for the longest time, I still remembered she actually managed to sell her house, right? And with that proceeds, she actually put it in a bank, right? And she put it in a bank in the FD, right? So fast forward many years later, that money did not. So when she sold her house, that was many years ago, and blocking that money in FD. Fast forward a couple of years later, right? That money, after being compounded, it cannot buy even a house. It cannot even buy a car right now, right? So the whole thing of it all, the value of money shrank so much while the inflation for many things actually rose. And what eventually happened was that money that or the proceeds that she had from selling the house after putting in an FD, the thing is the growth of the investments was much slower than inflation. And towards her retirement, when she wanted to maybe use that money for other things, we realized that money just shrank so much in value, right? So I think right now it is very important to always remember this rule of thumb, which is if you were to invest, make sure that your returns are much higher than the inflation. And quite honestly, I've been talking about this many times to friends and also to some students, right? And quite surprisingly, out of 100 students, maybe 10 people will listen to me, right? And out of 10 people, only one person will probably take action, right? So I think quite recently, I was really surprised. On Friday, I actually got a question from one of my students. And he said, hey, should he continue holding his stock? So the whole thing of it all is that what happened was quite recently there was this Microsoft actually had a software maybe glitch, right? And what happened was amongst us bankers, we saw this particular glitch. We thought that it was a bank wide situation, right? And then when we called other banks, we realized that even other banks had this particular issue, right? And then when we read the newspapers, we realized that not only banks, hotels, and also airlines, right? And quite honestly, if you are a beginner investor, right? Of course, you don't want to lose your hard-earned money, right? Or from investing. And that was one of the reasons why one of my friends, which became my students, he actually contacted me. He was like, hey, what should I do? So guys, anyway, on that particular issue, I'm gonna maybe open classes for anyone interested. If you guys are interested, put it down in the comment section. So anyway, when he asked me that particular question, what should he do with his investment right now with the issue on Microsoft, right? And at that point in time, certain stocks were taking a beating, right? And the last thing you want to do, please never do this, is to panic sell. Never sell a stock based on panic, right? And what I told him, what the questions I asked him were very simple questions. Number one, what stock did he buy, right? Number one, what stock did he actually invested in? The second question I asked him was, I wanted to know how much of gains he made on those particular stocks. The whole thing of it all is that we always have to remember, right? And this is for you guys also, if you guys are listening to this, right? A small little advice, even if there is a sell down in the market, right now it's going to be quite volatile the next couple of weeks, right? Where if there is some certain stocks actually move down, right, or the prices have for certain stock actually drop, right? The question sometimes might arise like, what do I do? Should I continue buying? Should I hold? Should I sell? So my basic advice was this, right? I asked him what the stocks that he invested in, and the whole thing of it all, why I wanted to know is that by knowing these stocks, I wanted to see whether the businesses that these stocks holds, right? So if he buys maybe stock A, I wanted to find out whether stock A will still be profitable in the coming months ahead. In fact, every time when there is a sell down in the stock market, I used to remember my fund manager asking me this particular question: whether company A, company B, or company C, they wanted to know whether the earnings were still intact, whether the earnings will be affected if there is a sell down, right? And if there is no impact on the earnings, and if the company is still a good quality company, this is in fact a buying opportunity. Let me repeat this. This is very important. If a company is a good quality company, and if the company is expected to continue growing, and if the company is expected to continue to thrive, hey, thanks for the likes. Thank you. Thank you. If the company is expected to thrive, right? If there is a sell down, and if there is a market-wide sell down, what you want to do is to buy. You want to average down. That's the word for it. So if you bought the stock maybe at $3, right? It goes down to maybe 250, right? So the whole thing of it all, what should you do? If you truly believe that that is a quality stock, you can continue buying at 250. And then if the stock continues going down from 250 to $2, you can continue buying and continue buying as it goes down. Let me tell you a very, very personal story, right? One of my friends, right? I still remember during the whole MCO, right? At that particular point in time, markets were topsy-turvy. It was going all over, it was going up sometimes, or going down sometimes. The market was very, very volatile. But I still remember what he used to do. He used to not even care the direction of the market. What he used to do is he has a discipline. If he thinks it's a quality company, he will just continue buying. So you will have dollar cost averaging, right? So if the company is actually a good company, if it continues dropping in price, you continue buying, right? And I still remembered some of his portfolios at that point in time when it dropped, right? Right now, as the economy recovered, right? And guys, do remember that this was during the MCO. And MCO was a scary time. Not many people wanted to be invested in the stock markets. If any of you guys invested during the whole COVID or the whole pandemic, right? Continue holding the stocks. I'm sure you would have known this lah. A lot of these stocks today has already increased in price. Let me repeat this. This is a very important idea. So every time when there is a panic sell in the equity markets, what you want to do is never panic sell, never follow the herd. You have to ask yourself whether the company that you invested in is a good company. If the company that you invested in is a good company, the next question you want to ask yourself is whether the earnings will continue to grow, right? If it's a good company, if the earnings is expected to grow, but the overall market, and normally what tends to happen is that there's this thing called herd mentality in the market. When someone sells, they will start selling just like random. It's just like shotgun approach, right? If there is bad news for company A, company B, company C, company D may be affected, right? So the whole thing of it all is that if you truly believe it's a quality company, you should look towards purchasing the company as it continue going down, right? The word here is dollar cost averaging, right? And I think the analogy over here I like to give, right? If the product quality is good, right? And if the quality, before this, the product used to cost maybe $5, right now it's cost maybe $4, or right now it costs maybe $3, right? The whole thing of it all right now is that if this is in the mall, we will probably like, wow, I want to buy that particular product. It's a cheap sale. But the whole funny thing is when it comes to stocks, people get nervous, right? So I want to give you that particular mindset shift, right? So if there is a sell down, what you want to do is you want to look towards, if you truly believe that it's a good stock, maybe look towards buying that particular stock, right? So that's question number one. Question number two, again, this is my friend, right? He was asking me, he bought some gold also. He was asking me whether he should continue holding his gold, right? And since I was talking to him, I just want to share with you guys this advice. I thought this was a gold nugget. I want to share with you guys also. Eventually, I know some of you guys also have already started investing based on some of the things I already told you guys, right? And I hope that you guys made some money from certain stocks, right? So anyway, the whole thing of it all is that he asked me whether he should continue holding gold, right? And he was asking me, he says, hey, should I hold gold or not? Is it a good time to sell? Is it a good time to buy? And I told him, I said, with regards to gold, right, you should always hold maybe 2 or 3 different asset classes, right? So what this is basically is like, if you have maybe gold and if you have stocks, right? If all of a sudden there is a major sell down in the equities market, if there's a major sell down in the stock market, what will happen if gold were to go up? Your overall portfolio would still be very stable. So if there's a sell down in stocks, but if gold prices goes up, so basically your overall portfolio can absorb the shock of the sell down of the equity markets, right? So all in all, what I'm trying to say is it's always good to diversify your investments, right? Not only the type of stocks you invest in, but also the asset classes, right? The whole thing of it all, like I mentioned, if there's a sell down in equities, normally it'll be maybe 3 or 4 different stocks, right? It'll be maybe 5 or 10 typically if one stock goes down, a couple of other stocks also will go down, especially if there's a major sell down. So buying another different asset class will help absorb the shock, right? Basically. So my whole thing of it all is that I said, since you invest in gold, since gold is continues to make money, and since there's a lot of uncertainties which is happening around, I say maybe gold is still a very good investment, right? And then the third question which I had myself, right, was which is better, whether should invest in gold or whether should invest in stocks, right? I think for me, I'm biased. The whole thing of it all is I worked in the financial markets for many, many, many years, and I've been an equity analyst for many, many years. For me, equities is just like the back of my hand, lah, right? So obviously, I am very biased to. I'm very biased towards equity. I'm like, any day, man. I said, just buy stocks, lah, right? But I realized that in the financial markets, there's not only equities. There's all sorts of different types of asset. Long story short, what I'm trying to say is that you should lean towards assets where you're really comfortable, right? Lean towards assets where you're really comfortable. If you feel and if you know and there is strong indicators that gold may go up, maybe start accumulating more gold, right? But if you feel or if you know or if you have information that maybe stocks may go up, then maybe invest in stocks, right? The whole thing of it all is that since I have been working in the financial markets, right, and I read about stocks almost every day, right? So obviously I would say stocks, right? But the whole thing of it all, long story short, what I'm trying to say, which one is better? Both are assets, as long as you are invested and as long as you're getting another source of income. It does not matter what asset class. It does not matter what asset class, right? So long as you're invested, and remember this particular rule. Make sure your returns are always higher than inflation. Let me repeat this. Make sure your returns is always higher than inflation. And bring it back, right? I already told the story, right? My grandma sold a house many, many years ago. That particular money put in FD, right? After fast forward many, many years later, right? With inflation, with a lot of things actually going up in price, right? That particular money locked in FD cannot even buy a house. Right now, it can only buy a car, right? So that is basically inflation outpacing the returns from your investments, right? So if you have higher returns from the inflation number, not only you're beating inflation, but you're making wealth. Always remember that, right? So I think the next couple of days, I'm going to come up with this particular, I'm going to talk a little bit about the KLCI. I don't know whether you guys remembered. I talked a little bit about how I feel the KLCI is a very good investment. At that point in time, I think I was one of the only few analysts which actually said, KLCI, right? Invest in that. And yeah, I mean, if you look at other influencers, they're always talking about how US is a very good market. They're always talking about robo advisory, so on and so forth, right? I was I was very contrarian. I was like, oh, maybe look at KLCI, right? So the next episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about there's this. If you look at our KLCI, it actually rose by about 16%, right, on a year-to-date basis. On top of that, there are certain stocks in the KLCI. I'm going to reveal in the next episode. There's this one particular energy stock that actually rose by 400%. In fact, if you guys know what energy stock I'm talking about, please put it down in the comment section. Right? I'd like to know whether you guys know what particular energy stock. I mean, I found this, I was like, I almost fell off my chair, right? When I did the research, right? So, I thought, my investments in Pekat and CZK, right? I made about 100%, 130%. I thought it was great already, right? But my goodness me, I actually missed this particular run or this particular stock, right? So I'm gonna talk about it so that we all can learn, we all can level up, and we all can make better investment decision. So next episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about the KLCI, right? And I'm going to talk a little bit about the stock which went up about 400%. So if you guys, to be very honest, when I was talking about KLCI, right? Like I said, I was one of the few, one of those few guys in YouTube, right? Which talked about like, just invest in CI. Padahal everyone was talking about robo advisory, putting in ETFs, putting in US, so on and so forth. So I was like, alamak, I'm really going against the grain on this one, right? So just wanted to remind you guys about the call which we made as a channel, and I hope that you guys actually made some gains. With that, please put down any questions. If you have any questions, please do ask. I'll be waiting for a couple of minutes. If not, I'll see you in the... Oh, and also, if not, put it in the chat section or the comment section, and I would maybe talk about it in an upcoming, live session. So I'll just wait for a couple of seconds while I drink. Okay, so I don't see any questions. So with that, stay invested, right? Don't panic sell. There's always a buying opportunity. Remember, just look out for the opportunity, right? And the best ways to actually invest is when we have knowledge. When we have knowledge, we will take better action. And the good thing was my student actually called me up, right? And he was like, what should I do? What should I do? Luckily, he did not panic sell. If he panic sell, right, he could have sold at a loss, right? So I thought this was very useful information, so I'm going to share it with you guys. So if you guys like the information I'm going to share, please put the likes in the, in the video somewhere. If not, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care, guys.